Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing great. In this video, I'll be giving us tips on the guitar caged system using the African music approach. You should note that this video is not a complete beginner tutorial on learning how to play the guitar. But then, if you've played for a while or you just started off on playing the guitar, I believe this video will be helpful and handy. For those who have played for a while, you've probably heard of the caged system or you've even applied it without knowing. But either ways, let's get to know what it is. The caged system is based on 5 essential guitar chord shapes formed from their original positions. The guitar caged system makes it very easy and convenient to move up and down the fretboard. It helps guitarists understand the relationship between chords, rhythms, and scales on the fretboard. And as I mentioned earlier, we'll be using the African music approach. We'll get to see how these shapes were used and are still used to form rhythms or to create guitar rhythms. The word caged just had to be formed from the music alphabet for the keys C, A, G, E, and D respectively. Starting with the first alphabet as the first shape, C. C as a chord in its root position is played this way. You could also play it by switching these fingers. And the reason for switching the fingers is to have the index finger free. And for this context, for the context of the caged system, for the context of shapes, we'll be using this index finger as bar to help us move our chord across or up the fretboard. So the guitar caged system helps you play different keys with same chord, same shape, if you understand what I mean. So this shape, the C shape, gotten from the C open chord, is what we will now be using to play F, G. So that's the purpose of understanding and learning how to use guitar shapes. The next shape in the caged system is the A. The A shape is gotten from the A chord played open. And of course, like the C shape, can be moved up the fretboard to enable you to play other keys with just that chord. The next shape is the G shape. Of course, it's also gotten from the G chord played open, like the original position of the G chord. And like the others, it can be moved up the fretboard by adding your bar. Alright. And the next shape is the E shape, which is also gotten from the E open chord. And with the aid of the bar, you also move it up the fretboard. The last shape is the D shape, which is also gotten from the D chord. And just like the others, we can move it up the fretboard. But we should know that the A and G shape have something in common. These chords on the second, third, and fourth string. You could use it to play the G shape. You could also use it to play the A shape. Same thing goes for C and D. We have the C shape playing the D chord with the C shape, and also the D chord with the D shape. So they just share a component. Now let's get into applying these shapes. If there's any part of the video so far you do not understand, feel free to drop your questions in the comments. Let's get into applying these shapes. A lot of our African songs have the basic 1, 4, and 5 major progressions used in different combinations, like the 1, 4, 5, 4 progression. Let's do this example in the key of C. We have our C, which is our 1. The 1, 4, 5, 4 progression would go this way: 1, 4, 5, 4. We could also have the 1, 5, 4, 5 progression. There are songs that even start off on the 5 progression. A little digression: if you're more familiar with solfege, like solfa notes, what 1 means is do, what 4 means is fa, and what 5 means is sol, for those who are more familiar with solfege. We should also note that there are many other African songs that would require you play minor chords, but then for the purpose of this video, we'll just stick to major chords so we drive the information. To further explain the use of the cage system and shapes, let's use this first example in the key of C with the 1, 4, 5, 4 progression. This is our root chord, the 1 chord, our do. This is it in the root position. If we are to switch shapes and we would still want to play the key of C, we could have the key of C in A shape. Remember we said this is our A shape, so we move it up: A sharp, B, and then C. So we are now using A shape to play C, right? The next part of that progression, the 1, 4, 5, 4 progression, is 4. Yeah. Initially we played, which we got from E shape, moving E shape a step ahead. Yeah. So if we want to play this same chord around where we got our new C chord in A shape, we have to play that in another shape. So we have our F from E shape, and I'm playing it in C shape here. So we have our root chord, or our 1 progression, and our 4 progression still around the same area. So instead of, we now have, this is what shapes helps you do. The next part of that progression is the 5. If we are to move that also, we'll end up having, I don't know if that makes sense. So we have our 1, our 4, our 5. And we could play in our rhythms. I'm just moving around shapes, revolving around same chord progression, just 1, 4, 5, 4 progressions. But with my knowledge of shapes, I'm able to play those same chords around so many areas of the fretboard. That's what shape helps you. To further understand this, let's use one more example in the key of F. But this time we'll be using a different progression: 1, 5, 4, 5 progression. Alright, so here is our progression: 1, which is F, 5, which is C, then 4, which is B flat, back to 5, back to 1. So if we are going to get this, our 1 chord in another shape, we are having it here in the E shape. So let's look for another shape for this. We now have it in the C shape. We just played F, still playing F, but with different shapes. Alright, so that's our 1 progression. The next part of that progression is 5. C is in the root position, the original position. So if we are going to get it in another shape, we'll be having something like the A shape or G shape. A shape or G shape. So we have our 1 here, we have our 5, then the next part of that progression is 4, B flat, which we could play in E shape. So this is a progression in the initial position. When we've moved to shape, we have I hope that makes sense. Now, if you observe very well, you see how the knowledge of these shapes enable us to play all the chords we need around the same area of the fretboard. Alright guys, in a bit to not make this video too long, in the next video I'll be showing us how I develop rhythms from chords with the aid of these shapes, with the aid of the caged system. And I hope you learned something from this video. See you guys later.